Hi ladies and gentlemen, that's Akila for a DCS World video.
Most of combat jet simmers have been used to have that equipment in their jet. A head-up display which allows you to constantly have in front of you your airspeed, which we all love to compare with our plane's corner speed, our altitude, our angle of attack, and the G's we are pulling, as well as our bank angle. The HUD in the F-14 shows none of those informations most of us consider vital in air combat, in close air combat. The AOA is here, and if you want to know your airspeed, you have to look inside the aircraft, as well as if you want to know your altitude or the G's you are pulling.
In fact, you will quickly understand that this problem is not really a problem, because most of the time your eyes will be kept outside your aircraft, and the lower you will be looking inside will be your HUD, sometimes your AOA indicator, but most of the time the lack of information in your HUD will not be a problem, because you will not be looking at your HUD, you will be looking outside. So the question is, if I can't see those informations which are not displayed in my HUD and which are not displayed in the sky and the landscape while I'm looking outside, how am I going to fly the plane properly during a close air combat? The answer is you will do strictly the same as did warbird pilots. They didn't have any head-up display or anything like that. They just had a gun sight. They didn't look all the time inside their fighter, so they felt a lot of things and they heard a lot of things, a lot of feedbacks given by the plane to make you know what to do and what not to do. That's exactly the way you are going to fly the F-14B in close air combat and in aerobatics. You can see here one of the most important feedbacks the F-14B gives to his pilot. The more it jiggles, the more the AOA indicator shows a high value. Jiggling means getting a high AOA. Now let's talk about another very important thing, the G's you pull during your maneuvers. You can't turn while looking at that gauge deep inside the cockpit. It's impossible. So you will have to understand what's happening without looking at the gauge. Let's see a couple examples. The plane was limited to 6.5 Gs to extend the airframe's lifespan. We are near Mach 1. We are pulling right now 6.5 Gs. We are at the limit. The US Navy dictated to extend the airframe's lifespan. Some Iranian pilots pulled past 10 Gs with consequences for their health and for, of course, for the plane. Here you see we pulled 6.5 Gs. Let's see how it feels when we pull a lot more, keeping in mind that pulling too many Gs will damage the airframe and the systems, the INS particularly. When you see a little start of a blackout, here's what it means. We pulled 8 Gs, which means that if you're blacking yourself out, you are pulling too many Gs. See the blackout coming? We pulled 9.5 Gs. We pulled 10 Gs, and you saw the ADI didn't like that a lot.
I'm dropping tanks.
Many seamers in combat try to make flat turns. What does flat turn mean? It means that you maintain your altitude while making your turn, which is most often a mistake. Why is making flat turns a mistake? Because flat turns lead you to over G when you're going fast, and leads you to bleed out your energy and quickly become a sitting duck in the sky, very slow and unable to maneuver. As you can see, while turning, if I want to reduce my speed in order to avoid over Gs, I climb slightly while turning. If I want to accelerate, I dive slightly while turning. And if my AOA goes above 15 units, so I use my rudder to roll the plane, as rolling with the stick has adverse effects at high AOA. By doing so, let's see what kind of figure we drawed. You can see that our turn used the vertical dimension, and you also can see that by doing this, I really tightened my horizontal turn radius, which is obviously something we want in close air combat. Before combat, you'll need to disable the roll axis of the Stability Augmentation System, SAS, because it handles quite bad the high AOAs. You will re-enable it after combat or after aerobatics also. This switch. I suggest you, as they did IRL, avoid using the landing flaps in combat or in aerobatics. It can jam the flaps in open position very quickly, and you'll be a sitting duck unable to evade. Instead, use the thumb wheel, which is the DLC thumb wheel. When the landing gear is up, it controls the maneuvering flaps. I often see seamers trying to always be keeping the bandit in their HUD. It's a mistake. If you do that, you will always find yourself like a sitting duck in the sky with not enough speed to maneuver. You will be a target.
12 o'clock high.
I'm going to be always trying to keep the bandit in my HUD to show you how a bad idea it can be.
O'clock. 6 o'clock high.
Here I should be trying to fly my plane, to make the turn, not trying to put this bandit in my head, just trying to follow
12
him
o'clock high.
without doing things my plane doesn't like.
11 o'clock low. $12.
The plane is jiggling. The AOA indicator shows I'm near the max.
Closing. Come on, show me some of that pilot shit.
And my aircraft obviously doesn't want to do what I'm trying to make it do.
$12 low. You have him now.
Each turn, each maneuver is making me slower and slower and slower in the sky. Each turn makes my AOA higher and higher and higher.
We're on a 6.
Till the moment when I will be barely flying
12 o'clock high.
and become a target in the sky. Here, I just
12 o'clock
can't
low.
make the maneuver. The plane did what it wanted to.
10 o'clock high.
I'm struggling against my F-14, not against the bandit.
12 o'clock high. $1 high.
I'm just flying because I have two fantastic engines
11 o'clock low.
pushing in my back. But in terms of aerodynamics, this is not a plane anymore.
12 o'clock.
And now I'm a sitting duck. And guess who I will find behind me? So here are my 3 rules for air gunfighting. First, train in aerobatics at different altitudes to know your aircraft. Second, fly it the way it likes and it's meant to be flown. And third, only keep the bandit in the HUD once you took advantage over him. Well, let's fight for true now. My plane is sleek with 100% fuel, the F-16 as well. Hello Viper, my old friend, I've come to kick your ass again. Well, set up the plane, master arm on, radar on the VDI, roll axis of the SAS off, ACM cover up.
There is a bandit. 12 o'clock. 3 miles.
AIs are snipers, so let's open up a bit to the right not to get headshot.
Spike. 12 o'clock.
Merge, let's turn in his direction as soon as possible. The 2 things to avoid now: no blackout and no horizontal turn.
3 o'clock.
And remember, don't try to keep him in the HUD.
11 o'clock. $11 o'clock low. $6 o'clock high.
Notice the jiggling. The AOA is high. No need to check the gauge. And remember, don't try to keep him in the HUD. The ground is on my right side. The F-16 is diving and my F-14 is slipping to the right in the direction of the ground. I have no need to do anything.
11 o'clock high. $3 o'clock.
Jiggling means high AOA. And remember, don't try to keep the bandit in your head.
12 o'clock low.
When the aircraft is jiggling, you have to keep it easy with the stick and to use the rudder to roll the plane. Easy with the throttles, I'm pulling a lot of G's, I think.
11 o'clock high. Seven o'clock low. Two o'clock high.
See how I roll the plane with the rudder.
O'clock low. Light him up, he's right in front of us.
And now look what's happening. While I'm doing my maneuver, naturally the bandit falls into my head without any need to pull the stick harder than I was before.
Low.
And here again, don't try to force him into your head.
Reach out and touch him.
Now your job is to lock him with PAL, to put the thing on the thing and to press the thing. Oh, that's shooting like a penguin. Sorry for that. The X in the head is here to deter you from closing up too much and getting hit by pieces of the plane you're going to shoot down.
We're on his 6.
And good kill.
The bandit is going down.
And now a couple more considerations while this unfolds. First, the opponent is an IA, which is by no means as smart as a good human player, but which may help you to become more proficient in basic air combat maneuvers. Second, we didn't talk about corner speed, the minimum airspeed at which the maximum allowable G can be generated. For the Tomcat, it's 360 knots at sea level with 4 sparrows and 2 sidewinders and full fuel. The more you weigh, the more it goes up. Due to its flight control system, the F-16 doesn't have a fixed corner speed. A speed range between 330 knots and 440 knots will give it a good rate of turn based on the Gs available. Anyway, I suggest you don't put too much thought into numbers. Know your adversary, look outside, and feel your plane. The F-16 is a high-speed turner, the F-14 is better at lower speeds. Anyway, a furball often ends at low speed and low altitude, where your F-14 is difficult to learn, but absolutely deadly, put in the right hands. And now let's talk a bit about joystick and rudder curves. I read many people writing all over the place about how they tweak those curves in order to smoothen their aircraft's behavior. As you can see, for the F-14B, I did nothing to my joystick and rudder curves. I just put a slight dead zone in the rudder, so when I move in my chair, it doesn't make the plane slip or roll. So you're gonna ask me, why didn't I tweak those curves? And my answer is because it's a fighter plane. It's not a smooth plane. It doesn't have to be smooth. It can't be smooth. What I have to do is not smoothen its behavior, it's learning to master it despite its very responsive behavior. Of course, it's a bit difficult. Of course, the first few hours are a little bit weird, but by doing so, you learn. After a few hours, it becomes natural. I remember the Gazelle helicopter for DCS, which was very, very responsive when it was released. Many people were still tweaking their joystick and rudder curves when I was able to fly that helicopter. Well, anyway, it's my choice. Many people choose otherwise, and it's not a problem for me, but I wanted to share my view about those questions of axis curves. This video was by no means an exhaustive tutorial for the complex art of basic fighter maneuvers, but I hope it gave you a couple tips and tricks useful for your next combat with the cat. Well, that's all for now. Thank you for watching. Hope it was useful and you enjoyed that video. See you later.